A British rapper named Zuby, okay, garnered worldwide attention in March 2019 after posting a video of himself declaring he had broken the British women deadlift record. In the tweet, Zuby said that he identified as a woman whilst lifting the weight, ultimately trolling the debate of transgender people competing in athletic events. He claimed to have broken a woman deadlift record of 238 kilograms, that's 528 pounds, and he said it was without even trying. Different athletic organizations, both in the United States and around the world, have their own policies in place to include the transgender athletes. The International Olympic Committee, a National Collegiate Athletic Association, and the NAIA all have rules that say transgender women need to pass certain tests. U.S. powerlifting, however, does not allow transgender women to compete as women. So can we play this video, if you don't mind? Just play the video of him doing it, because I think everybody needs to see this. This is you.
Look at that girl. Damn.
That was a clean lift. I could have done like 5 of those.
4 million views, your tweet. I keep hearing about how biological men don't have any physical strength advantage over women in 2019. So watch me destroy the British woman deadlift record without even trying. P.S. I identified as a woman whilst lifting the weight. Don't be a bigot. So,
the inside grip, by the way, sumo deadlift, solid.
Yeah, man.
If Gerard approves, you know it's legit.
This
guy benches 500.
What gave you the idea of wanting to do this? Because at one point, everybody was talking about this. So what gave you the idea?
No doubt. So since like, when would it have been? When did the world start going super silly? Like 2015, 2016. I was following these stories and seeing this happening, right? This is when new gender started being introduced to the Western world and people could identify as anything. And I was like, well, this is ultimately going to lead to, you know, there's going to be downstream repercussions of this. I can see what's happening. I saw what happened with Fallon Fox in MMA, and then in some collegiate areas, I think both in Canada and the USA. I was just seeing, you know, male athletes competing against girls and women by identifying as the opposite gender. And I said, okay, you know what? If those are the rules, let's take this to its logical conclusion. So out of curiosity, I just did a quick Google search of, okay, in my weight class, what's the British women's deadlift record? And I saw it was 215 kilos. I know my PB is 275. So I was like, oh, okay. And then I just had that video on my phone from one of my training sessions of me pulling 230.
Oh, so you didn't do this afterwards?
No,
you had already.
I got you. That was just from one of my training sessions, so I just took it. I just tweeted. At the time, I had 18,000 Twitter followers. I thought this was going to get a couple retweets, a couple LOLs, and I did not know this was going to be the thing that would introduce me to millions of people all around the world. I put that tweet out there, and within seconds, I knew something was up. I was just looking at my phone like, okay. Within I think 10 minutes, the video had 10,000 views. And it just kept growing and growing. It was getting retweeted all over the world by huge personalities. People were commenting in different languages. And for days and days and days, this thing was just going viral, going viral, going viral. After a while, Joe Rogan picks up on it, talks about it on his podcast, which gives it this whole second boost.
Yep.
And I mean, that was March 2019. And it's gone viral several times since then because people will pick up again on the story.
2 + 2 = 5 for 2 years. 2 + 2 = freaking 5, man.
And then, of course, in the Olympics now, you've had this thing came to head again, right? Where New Zealand had their first transgender weightlifter who failed anyway, but that caused a big stir. So the story sort of is one of those things that just keeps coming back.
What do you think they should do? I mean, right now it's the Olympics, right? I mean, what do you think they should do? So, by the way, there are some people that, you know, they strongly believe they want to be transgenders.
Sure.
Okay, so let it be. It's a libertarian mindset. Do as you choose. But how do you think the Olympics should handle transgenders?
Simple. I think there's 2 options. Either they kind of lead to the same result. Firstly, most people don't understand that most male sports are not actually male sports. They're just open. Right? But it turns
anyone can compete.
Yeah, but it turns out there's never been, for obvious reasons, there's never been a woman.
It's very important to repeat what you just said. So in Olympics, most male sports are open.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Olympics, but
You're
most
saying sports in general.
Yeah, I don't believe the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, they don't have a rule saying women are
like
not
you see these women
allowed.
become like NFL kickers or
even
college
in youth sports in America, you know, especially because women develop faster than young boys do, young girls. So like up until as late as 12, 13 years old, soccer is played girls and boys, basketball girls and boys,
it's open.
baseball girls and boys.
It just turns out that, you know, there's never been a woman big and strong enough to play in the NFL or in the NBA, et cetera, which is why you have a women's sports division. So it's the women's sports divisions that are exclusive, whereas the others open. So you just have an open category. So however you identify, whatever, best of the best, and then you have a female category. Simple. That's all.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, like, look, you're talking about a meritocracy at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Like, if somebody's good enough, like, I always thought that the person who really could break down a gender barrier in a sports is a knuckleballer, like a knuckleball pitcher. If there's a woman who could throw a knuckleball, you throw it 65 miles an hour. It's about the movement of the ball. The softer you throw it, the more effective it is. You don't need to overpower. That's somebody that could actually break down a gender barrier. She doesn't need to run as fast as anybody else. She doesn't need to swing the bat. She can literally use a technique, a technical pitch, and be able to compete at that level. So that would be something. But like what Vanderbilt did by running that kicker out so she could kick the ball 30 yards out of bounds and break the gender barriers of the SEC, and it was like, my God almighty. You turned this poor girl into a show pony. That's what you did. You took this poor girl and you turned her into a show pony for your progressive ideology. She won SEC Special Teams Player of the Week for a 30-yard kickoff out of bounds, man.
Well, what's the one thing you always joke about? Like, I got 1 year of eligibility of college left, baseball.
I brought up
Zuby.
Might go.
Okay, gotcha.
As soon as Joe Biden, like one of his very first executive orders from our king was to say no questions asked, to basically reverse what they would call the transgender discrimination that Trump had done, and say that no questions asked, anybody who identifies as a woman should be able to compete in athletics, NCAA athletics, as their gender identity. So I'm like, okay, I could, as a former professional baseball player, go back at my age and play softball at the University of Miami with a metal freaking bat. You're gonna let me hit a ball against 17-year-old girls. And if I hit a ball up the middle and I murder a pitcher, or the third baseman is just getting kneecapped, that's okay. That's equality. Because God forbid you tell me, no, bro, you're a 34-year-old man. Go anywhere but here. That's the part that's bigotry, not me showering with a 17-year-old, 18-year-old girl, in the locker room with a 17, 18-year-old girl, dorming with them, practicing with them, and competing against them. That's equality. But if you preclude me from that, well, you're a bigot.
You know, for me, the way I see it is the following. Why don't you just create a transgender competition? Let them go at it. Let them compete. Let them go at it, rather than having to go and take things away from women. If you want to create a transgender, contest, competition, go for it. Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that. Yeah. Where you're competing against somebody.
Well, their argument, Pat, is that they're not transgender.
Yeah, you're dealing with ideologues.
Did you hear the argument Navratilova made?
No.
Have you heard the argument she made?
I heard her. Not sure.
Can you pull it up? Can you pull up her argument she made? Tennis player Navratilova, man. To spell that name, Kai. You're from Norway.
N.
I think you, out of everybody, should be able to spell that. Navratilova.
No chance, Kai spelling this right.
N, not ma. Mara Savatruchas from Ma. There you go.
It came up anyway.
So then put puts transgender.
Yeah.
Okay, transgender. She said something about that. She said some quote about it. She said, no, don't critical. So she rejects accusation.
Hit news, Kai.
Click on news. There's a story about this.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, go back, Kai. Go back. There was a story right at the top, right there. Click on that. I think that's when
2019,
she said.
though.
Well, that's when it was, when she said it, though. Go up.
Yeah.
She said something very powerful. And by the way, Navratilova is fully supportive of gay rights.
Well, she is gay.
Yeah, I know she is.
Yeah.
But she said something here. Anyways, you guys can continue. I'll find this quote here to read it to you. It's a powerful statement she made.
I just have one question. Yeah. Because quite candidly, this is not anything that I'm like waking up being like, what are the trans saying today? This is not... What percentage of the world are transgender? Like 0.001%? Like
a fraction of a fraction of a fraction.
Okay, so why is this such a big deal? Because they're infusing themselves into the pop culture and sports?
It's because it's being forced on people.
Yeah, it's
right?
Weird.
Because most people, look, regardless of whether someone, it shouldn't even be political, but whether someone is liberal, conservative, libertarian, whatever, most people don't care. If you're an adult, do what you want to do. Maybe I don't get it. Maybe I don't, agree with it, whatever. But if that's what you want to do, it's not harming anyone. Live your life how you want. You're a man, you want to wear a dress, you want to put up makeup, you're allowed to. You can do what you want. The problem with this issue is that they're, and again, most transgender people, I probably know more. Most people don't know any. I actually know a couple, I don't know any who's in favor of this whole sports thing, right? They think it's crazy because they recognize reality.
So it's just the woke left trying to infuse their ideas, ideologues,
exactly.
and the trans are like, yo, we're good. We don't need your help.
But this is something that would potentially impact
Chelsea handlers of the world.
Yeah, but there's something that impacts 50% of the population, right? Why is it the men aren't worried about this?
Yeah, because it's not going to affect us.
Exactly, which in itself blows up the entire argument of
but
them
meanwhile,
saying there's
you brought
no
up
difference,
Fallon Fox, and she's literally caving. She was caving women's faces.
Who is she?
She was a transgender MMA fighter.
Yeah.
She was a man.
This is the problem,
Became
right?
a woman.
Was a man.
No.
Became a woman and was able to compete against other women and cave their
Now,
faces.
is it more common for women to become men or men to become women?
Literally broke her skull.
Can I jump in here and say that you cannot actually change your biological sex? It's not possible.
Okay, break that
So
down.
even saying she, you're giving into the argument. You're not talking about a she. You're talking about a biological male. You cannot change from a man into a woman. It's not possible. You can make yourself appear as such. You can identify as such, but it is not physically possible. And I think part of it is this overt political correctness with people having to, respect the pronouns and change their whole language to defy reality, which actually allows people to run with these crazy arguments. Because as soon as you start calling someone a woman, they're like, well, if they're a woman, why can't they compete against women? And I'm like, well, no, that's not a woman. That's a biological male identifying as a woman.
Why?
Which
Because
they
when
can
you're
do.
young, you go through puberty, and if you're born a boy, you have the hormones.
Rogan's talk about it extensively. It's bone
us here.
density. It's the muscle retention. I mean, we are. He's right. We're so biologically.
There is nothing that any of us here at this table can do that would turn us into.
Damn,
an
that's bad
actual
news. I thought I
woman.
could.
It's not.
Make that. I'm there. I'm there.
Anybody could.
I think I got this, Zuby. Hold my beer.
It's not
Well,
possible.
who's the most famous transgender person in the world?
Caitlyn Jenner, probably.
Okay, so I have one quick story about this. So, one of my best friends is that guy Chris Humphries that married Kim Kardashian. I was in the wedding. I walked Chloe down the aisle. Bruce was there. This was in
He knows Vin Diesel.
2011.
You just dead named.
What's that?
You just dead named. Someone's going to cancel you.
Oh,
for that.
all right. Well, it happens.
It's called dead naming.
Oh,
Yeah.
because he doesn't exist anymore. But at the time, it was Bruce Jenner. That was like tying our tie. Point is this.
Watch your language.
I know, guys.
Brace for impact, buddy.
Yeah, it's a minefield.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
But point is,
We're not gonna
fast
cancel you,
forward.
we're gonna educate you.
Fast forward. This is probably when did she? She. What, I don't know what to say at this point.
A few years ago.
It was probably 2017.
Talk about the future governor of
She did.
California.
She
Have some
did.
respect.
Yeah, I don't think that's happened. No. She came out on Diane Sawyer on, believe, like 2020 and did the whole thing or whatever. But here's the story. That night, Chris was playing for the Wizards at the time, Washington Wizards, and they had just swept the Toronto Raptors, right? Drake was at the game. It was a big deal. And it was breaking news. Caitlyn Jenner announces, because it was rumors that was going on, right? And it was, after the game, we're celebrating, sweep, we're having dinner, having drinks. And I was like, this is some weird shit, huh? And he's like, yeah, like, thank God I got out while I did. And I go, you got to tweet that. And he goes, no, hell no. I go, I'm like, give me your phone. I've never tweeted before in my life. And I tweeted on Chris's, this was me. I'm owning up to it.
You canceled him.
Like, thank God I got out while I did.
You ended his career.
Not so much because of the Jenner thing, but because look at the track record that happened to Kardashian. Lamar Odom, OD, Scott Disick, rehab. The father, like, literally died. Robert Kardashian the son hasn't been seen in years. I'm like, look at you, bro. You're worth $50 million. You just swept the Raptors. Life's great. And he goes, dude, I got no ill will towards Caitlyn. Yeah. But, like, thank God I kind of got out while I did. So I took his phone and I tweeted it. I'm like, ha ha, like, we did it. Like, ha. And, like, dude, an hour later, his publicist calls, what the fuck are you thinking? He's getting slaughtered on Twitter.
But he didn't throw you under the bus, though. Good
he
man.
came out, made an apology. He wasn't going to be like, my boy Saz. Like,
It could have been my phone was hacked. Yeah.
It literally was. But he came out, made an apology, and, like, the next, I was staying with him. He goes, never fucking touch my phone again.
Oh man, that's
But he got slaughtered.
This
And I
explains
feel
why,
bad.
in the many months that we've been with Adam Sauce, I have not seen Chris Humphries not one freaking
He ain't
time.
coming.
He ain't
No,
coming.
he'll be
coming.
here. He'll be here.
He's
He
gonna
ain't
come.
coming. Yeah, he ain't coming. He ain't
Anyway,
coming.
it's a very sensitive topic, but it's at least we're talking about it.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
respect to what you're doing, at least making it something.
Dude, Caitlyn Jenner's got one of the greatest quotes of all time too. Afterwards, she said in L.A. it was easier to come out as transgender than it was to come out as a Republican.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
That's believable.
That makes
I mean,
sense.
you get embraced and
sense.
celebrated by the hyper wokies for the former, and you get denigrated for the latter. So it's not surprising, especially in California. Gosh.
Yeah,
That's actually shocking that you said that, because that's pretty ridiculous.
It's her truth.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.